Good afternoon, everybody. I welcome you to the 29th Annual General Meeting of Igarashi Motors India Limited. The meeting is being held through video conference in accordance with the circular issued by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs and SEBI. For safety reasons, each of us is at a different location. I'll now introduce all my colleagues on the board and the management. I am Hemant Nerurkar, Chairman of the company. I am attending from a residence at Mumbai. Mr. Keiichi Igarashi, Director, is attending from Tokyo, Japan. Mr. L. Ram Kumar, Independent Director and Chairman of Audit Committee, is attending from his residence at Chennai. Mrs. Vinodini, Independent Movement Director, Chairman of Stakeholder Relationship Committee and member of Audit Committee, is attending from her residence at Chennai. Mrs. Eva Rosa Schork, Director, attending from Nuremberg, Germany. Mr. R. Chandrasekharan, Managing Director, attending from our registered office at Chennai. Shri P. Dinkar Babu, Company Secretary, is also attending from a registered office, Chennai. Along with Mr. S. Vivek Chandranath, CFO, again from the registered office at Chennai. We also have Mr. Deva Prakash attending from the head office. And also Mr. P. Govindaraju. We have our auditors, Mr. Harsh Lakhotia, partner BSR and Company, and C. Prabhakar, partner BP and Associate, Secretary Auditor and Scrutinizer for e-voting. Ms. Sophia, representing Cameo Corporate Services Limited, Register and Transfer Agent, has also joined the video call. We have the requisite quorum present through the video conference to conduct the proceedings of this meeting. Participants of the participating members through video conference is being reckoned for the purpose of quorum as per the circular issued by MC. The quorum being present, I call this meeting to order. I now request Shri Dinkar Babu, Company Secretary, to provide general instruction to the members regarding participation in the meeting. Shri Dinkar Babu, please.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. Members may note that this AGM is being held through video conference in accordance with the provisions of Companies Act 2013 and circulars issued by MCA and SEBI. Facility for joining this meeting through video conference is made available for the members on a first come first served basis. The register of directors and the register of contracts have been made available electronically for inspection by the members during the AGM. As the AGM is being held through video conference, the facility for appointment of proxy by the members is not available, and hence the proxy register is not applicable for inspection. Members are requested to refer to the instructions given in page number 33 of annual report for a seamless participation through video conference. The AGM webcasting link has already been posted on the company's website. Now I hand over back to the chairman.
Thank you, Babu. The company has taken all possible efforts under the circumstances to enable members to participate through video conference and vote for the AGM. I thank all the members, colleagues on the board, auditors, and the management team for joining this meeting over video conference. I hope all of you are safe and in good health. I once again would like to welcome everybody and good afternoon to ladies and gentlemen. It's my great pleasure to welcome you once again on this 29th Annual General Meeting of Igarashi Motors India Limited. I would have very much liked to meet and address you in person, but as you are aware, we are again holding this meeting over a virtual platform due to the ongoing pandemic. During the pandemic, a management task force had been monitoring the situation and taken measures to upkeep of the plant, supply chain, stakeholder updates, implementing COVID-19 guidelines, employee health, safety, and well-being. And of course, most important, vaccination of all employees. I would really like to thank the management team for doing a very outstanding work during the COVID pandemic, for looking after the employees so well. You will be very pleased to know that we had 0 fatality due to COVID, and all eligible employees have been vaccinated 100%. This goes on to show the commitment of the management team towards the well-being of our employees. From July 2020, majority of our operations have seen resumption of activity with an impressive recovery due to unlocking of restriction, pickup in economic activity, favorable government reforms, mass vaccination of mass disbursement of vaccines, and above all, the commitment and loyalty of our employees. From the business perspective, 2021 was a challenging year. Despite the pandemic and lockdowns, the revenue during the year was in line with the previous year with just 9 months of operation, whereas the profitability for the year was only marginally down even with the full year costs. Being a pioneer in the torque actuator motors for electronic throttle control application, we are now widening our motor portfolio to EGR, WGA, VGT and CCV applications. These abbreviations, if anyone wants to see the full form, it's on the back page of the annual report. These motors are now showing upward trend due to stringent emission norms for conventional and hybrid variants across the world. This has resulted in a number of motors per car to go to 2.9 from 2.4 earlier. We are focusing on domestic tier 1 customers to support Atmanirbhar Bharat. Besides the above, our team is now working to expand torque actuator motor portfolio to two-wheeler ETV segment and launch motors for other applications like EPB, TOCD, seat motors, etc. We have launched energy efficient BLDC motor platform for consumer appliance segment for ceiling fan by engaging with the market leader for the ceiling fan segment. We are ready to seize the opportunity arising from the government's push for energy efficiency schemes to drive growth with a mass adoption schemes. We are also working on launching motors for TPW and air coolers. As government is formulating a stable investment environment with robust incentive policies for electric vehicles, our R&D team is gearing up to capture opportunities in the electric vehicle space to launch two-wheeler 3 to 5 kilowatt range and three-wheeler 5 to 10 kilowatt range. Our work in the recent years in electric motor drivers and controllers has given us the base for electronic system design and manufacturing, which is known as the ESDM. We have established R&D desk, supply chain and SMT manufacturing line of 2.5 million annual capacity and started supplies to appliance segment players. We remain focused on leveraging our competencies and are confident of capturing the growth prospects and script success. Strategic initiatives to expand customer base, striving for higher share from emerging technologies, strengthening manufacturing capabilities and keeping pace with technological developments and regulatory environments. Driving value creations continues unabated. Equipped with strong fundamentals and future-ready practices and technical expertise. We are confident of seizing these opportunities and drive sustained growth. I would like you to join me in company's management team for dedication and commitment. As always, I am extremely grateful to you, our dear shareholders, for your continued patience and confidence in the company. I wish you and your family members a very safe and a healthy time ahead. Please stay healthy and please stay safe, and wish you all the best. Thank you. Regarding the notice of the meeting, as the notice is already circulated to all the members, I take the notice as read. Before we proceed, I am pleased to bring to your notice that the company had provided you all the facility to cast your vote electronically on all resolutions set forth in the notice. Members may please note that there will be no voting by show of hands. We now take up the resolutions as set forth in the notice. We will open the floor for questions by members after the resolutions are tabled. Following are the businesses to be transacted during the meeting. Number 1, ordinary business. Adoption of financial accounts for the financial years ended March 31st, 2021 and reports of the Board of Directors and Auditors report. This is the ordinary resolution. Approval for payment of dividend of ₹1 rupee 50 paise per equity share. This is also ordinary resolution. And appointment of Mrs. Eva Maria Rosa Schrock, Director number 07159550, who retires by rotation and being eligible seeks reappointment. Ordinary resolution. Regarding auditor's report and secretarial report, since annual report is not required to be read as there are no qualifications, comments or observations. Similarly, secretarial auditor report is also not required to be read as there are no qualifications and observations or comments. Shareholders' queries and suggestions on company's accounts and businesses are invited now. I now request Babu, Company Secretary, to provide general instructions to the members regarding question and answers, and Mr. Chandrasekhar, Managing Director, to respond to the same. Babu, please.
Thank you, sir. Dear shareholders, before we go live with the Q&A session, here are some points for your convenience. Kindly turn on your video when you are projected on the broadcast screen. Kindly unmute yourself and proceed to ask the question. Please mention your name and the location from where you are joining. Each shareholder will have 3 minutes for their questions. To avoid repetition, all the questions will be replied at the end. Once you have asked your question, you can log off and continue to watch the proceedings. The company has received requests from members to register them as speakers at the meeting. Moderator will unmute the respective shareholders. Now we request Mr. Nirupama Sharat Kumar Shah, DPID IN 300 749, client ID 111-539-14, to unmute yourself and kindly proceed with the question.
Hello, sir. Can you see me and can you hear me?
Yes, please. We can hear you all right. We can't see you yet, but now we can see you. How are you, Mr. Sharat Kumar?
हॅलो सर, आज मी काही मराठीत बोलणार नाहीये. काय जपानचे डायरेक्टर्स आहेत आणि सगळे आहेत
आणि जर्मनीचे पण आहे.
ओके. तर सर, I have sent my points by email to you in the beginning itself, and what I wanted to see that our promoters are Japanese and Japanese director is also present, and it is a great pleasure and the grand success for Japan in conducting and executing Olympic very nicely. And it is reward to them. They are third in the Olympic, where India is 40th in Olympic. But at the same time, it costed Japan exorbitantly. So I like to know what is a contribution of Igarashi India in Japan's Olympic. Next thing, sir, Igarashi is in auto sector MNC, and if I see page number 7 and 19, shows last 5 years financial results down in all fronts. And but in this year, what has happened that we have done, we have reduced our finance cost, we have reduced our employee cost, and in Marathi there is a serial. It says, "2 रुपया भी बड़ी चीज होती है भाई." So whatever we save is saving to the company, and it is good for all. And if you, I just observed that 4 years back our share price was 1,000 rupees. Today it is 500, still better than 3 months before, and also still performance not up to the mark. I don't want that we should distribute dividends, sir. That is my feeling. And when I refer page number 17, Igarashi is entering into table and pedestal fan consumer good. It is good to decision to enter consumer good, and basically what happens last 5 years we are not done well, so we have to find out new source. As consumer goods cost in thousands and not in lakhs, and so the affordable good to remain in demand all the time. Also, it is not difficult for a new entrant to secure their market share and enter ceiling fan business also, which is of 7,100 crores, sir. Also, as a chairman, you have got a good experience in consumer business. We manufacture BLDC motors and all variants with remote control with RF technology. So it may not be a difficult for us to enter into fan business. And when I see page number 50, we have stamp division. My observation is that Siemens has got stamp division, only one division, which supplies stamping to all over the world of all factories of Siemens. Whether same philosophy Igarashi is following or not, I would like to know. And page number 41, you are saying that BLDC and LED, they save the cost around 30,000 rupees and 32,000 rupees per year. My question is whether it justifies to our capital cost what we invested, and also inform lumens per watt of LED what we used, because that is a very important and critical to save the cost. Thank you very much for giving me opportunity to speak. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Sharad Kumar.
Thank you, sir.
Can we have the next question, please?
We have a question coming in from the next shareholder, Mr. Rohit Balakrishnan, DPA ID and client ID 120-816-002-132-4042. Please go ahead with your question, Mr. Rohit Balakrishnan.
Yeah, hello. So am I audible?
Yes, please.
Yeah, sir, actually I have already sent my question. Do you want me to repeat them?
No.
No, you would take it, no issues.
Yeah. So we will take up towards the end. Is that okay with Mr. Balakrishnan?
Yes.
Yeah, for the sake of just sort of again mentioning, what I wanted to ask was, sir, from you all mentioned about, and the annual report also elaborately talks about the new products that the company is planning to launch. If you can spend, the honorable members of the board can talk a bit about how you see the growth of the company over the next 2-3 years. I have specifically asked those questions, so if you can just answer them. Thank you.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Babu, next.
Thank you, sir. Now we have a question coming in from the next shareholder, Mr. Satyaprakash Mittal, DP ID and client ID 120-816-000-343-4171. Kindly proceed with the question, Mr. Satyaprakash Mittal.
So this is Mr. Ayush Agarwal on behalf of Mr. Satyaprakash Mittal, representing Mittal Analytics. Thanks for the opportunity. And good afternoon to all the fellow shareholders and honorable board members who are present here, and to other participants as well. We have sent in our questions. So without repeating them, I'll just request the management to answer them after all the questions have been asked.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Babu, next.
Thank you, sir. Now we have a question coming in from the next shareholder, Mr. V. Rangan, DPID IN 300 441, client ID 102 37300. Please go ahead with your question, sir.
Are you able to hear me, sir?
Yes, please.
I already have sent the question, but still I would like to keep note that all your paramount important financial ratios are coming. Like the net profit has come from 75 to 25 crores, return on net worth has come from 5.8%, all this thing. Can you throw some light on the actuator? What will be the growth like that? And you are telling on 4B TAM, the 10 programs are lining up, and EPB, all this will go for to increase the turnover for the next 3 years. Can you just tell me what will be the likely turnover, this one? And also I would like to know on the dividend aspect, I'm telling you, you have gone back on the promises, whatever you have given, because there may be many widows, many young person who are in need of dividend. See, you cannot say that I'm supporting stakeholder support. See, whatever it is, the money is there, 1/3 which should be set apart for us. It is not that the company is having a lot of loan or something like that. Nothing. Last time also, we see you have cut down the profit. See, whatever our shares should be cut, because you are not giving any bonus or anything like that, but not necessary. But 33% is already set in principle. That has gone by, you have gone back on the words. That is the only problem I have, because that it will hit the market capitalization. What is the problem in cutting our dividend? Naturally, the Japanese promoters would not like to have that, because they may their inflation is very low, interest rate low. Not like here, no. We are Indians, and we are now already in the pandemic period. Actually, you should have gone on a different footing, actually. And I want you to adjust whatever the shortfall in the dividend for the last 2 years, something like that. And when you come in a good EPS or next year or 2 years, whatever that, you have to set apart that and compensate that. That is only my wish, that's all. Because we are not questioning anything, because we are not going to go deep into that. But your paramount duty is to give that 1/3, that's all. After all the expenses, only you are coming to the net profit level. That is only my concern. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have the next question coming in from the shareholder, Mr. Viraj Kacharia, DPID and client ID 120-816-006-699-0540. Kindly go ahead with your question, sir.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Sir, I've sent my questions, but I'll just repeat them once again. And even if you can send a written reply to these questions, it would be even more helpful. So first is in the auto actuator market, you mentioned that we would look to add more products in the segment to capture the opportunity in four-wheeler market. How much of the total market size are we currently catering to, and what would be the kind of opportunity that we can add up? How does the content and vehicle change for us with the addition of new products introduced? So as us against current content per vehicle, how does this change for us? What is the enabling success? What is giving us the confidence of penetration in these new products customers? What is the differentiation of Igarshi? Is it cost or technological advantage? If cost, how do we fare against the competition? Source of advantage? Who would be our major competitors here? What would be the margins for new products? Would likely be like the existing products. Added to that, what would be our market share in existing products? We mentioned due to adoption of BS6 norms, the volume will see good growth. This is mentioned multiple times in our annual report. What changes due to BS6 that the opportunity size actually it grows for us? Third question is, of the two-wheeler market, what would be our current market share in 150 plus cc segment, and of the total vehicles sold, how many would be on electronic throttle system, and what is the kind of shift that we are seeing over the last 1-2 years in terms of new programs from OEMs? In 150cc segment, what would be the current supplier? What is our cost proposition that we are able to gain market share? Fifth is in the entry into safety and new comfort spaces, how large is this space, and who would be the key supplier in the segment? What would be our aspiration in terms of the market share? Then we are quite gung-ho about the BLDC opportunity and taking it to mass scale. So can you help me understand why BLDC motor is so important, and what actually prevented its mass adoption all over the years? Who would be the key players supplying BLDC motors currently, and how large is this segment, both in domestic and exports? I mean, what is the addressable market for this, both in domestic and exports, and what is our actually roadmap on the share in terms of the evolution of this product portfolio? There is in EV space, how does the addressable actuator market change for us versus ICE or hybrid engine market? Then when we're looking at adding new products and segment, what is the thought process in terms of the addressable market, the kind of profitability, ROC, which is the kind of profitability or ROC which we are looking forward when you are looking to penetrate into new products. Also the sustainability of the portfolio, especially when we are having exposure to ICE engines. Then is what kind of edge we have with our current product basis. We believe that we have right to win these new products. Over the last 5 years, EBITDA margin, gross margins have been in continuous pressure. So what is the roadmap to profitability going forward? Also, if you can just throw some light on the client concentration, also color on segment mix in terms of end application. Then there is one Egershai program. Can you elaborate what it means for India entity, both in terms of efficiency or productivity gains and in terms of export opportunity? Any update you could share on progress with Japanese OEs on motor manufacturing opportunity in India? Lastly, given plans on new product introductions, is there any change in the royalty or not? Then what would be our capex plans over the next 2 to 3 years? We've been incurring healthy spends toward outsourced manpower costs and quality costs. So given the plans on manufacturing efficiency and automation, what is the kind of substantial saving that we should see? We've talked about 30% productivity improvement. So when do we expect majority of savings to accrue? Added to that, what would be the VRS? Thank you for being so patient and listening to all the questions. It would be great if you can reply on the mail and discuss it in the AGM as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, sir.
Acharya. Yeah.
With this, we conclude the question session. Now I hand over back to Chairman.
Thank you, Babu. Can I now request Mr. Chandrasekhar, Managing Director, to respond to all the queries, please?
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, members. I seek the members' permission to consolidate wherever I could in terms of repeat questions which we have received from the shareholders, so that now no repetition in answers would be required to be done. First, getting to Nirupam Shah. We are in BLDC motor business. We supply to Crompton customers. Why not so many leading ceiling fan manufacturers? Sir, BLDC motor business was launched with market leader Crompton Greaves, and we have populated during last year more than 200K ceiling fans. And we work with Crompton Greaves with 3 model series and 12 variants. And our program desk is already working with 6 more customers: Havells, Usha, GM, V-Guard, Sujata, and Advanced Fans for various BLDC projects. And we are also working on mass adoption for regulatory push with EESL. Whether we are in IoT technology, yes, IoT facilitates exchange of data over internet between various devices. And we have already launched 2 product variants with Crompton with IoT feature. And we are also working on 2 more variants with Crompton Greaves and 2 projects with Havells. Now, short supply of luxury auto sector of semiconductor chips. Why not enter in semiconductor to luxury auto sector is third question. Our company's major business is actuator motors for the auto market. And last 2 years, we have launched motors using BLDC technology for consumer appliances, which uses integrated electronics. Going forward, our electronics R&D team is working towards extending the same for the EV motor controller. The semiconductor industry requires huge investments and technology, so it's not a cup of cake right now, sir. Castrol enter into components for EV. Why not think in the same line? Yes, we are also targeting now to be a component or a sub-assembly supplier for the EV for two-wheeler and E3-wheeler market. And we are also developing our own E2-wheeler and E3-wheeler series between 3 and 10 kilowatts. And we expect the design and the validation to get complete and SOP in next 3 years to come. Getting to second shareholder, Mr. Rohit Krishnan, and I'm also combining the question of Viraj Kacharia. This is related to TAM penetration, market opportunity, and the competitiveness related to both global and domestic TAM. Owing to government regulations on emission control and adoption of Euro 4 and BS6 has led to the growth of super efficient ICE and hybrid vehicles that translate to increase in demand for our actuators motors in powertrain, comfort, and body systems. Your company's long presence in global ETC segment made us a preferred choice for customers in expanding our product applications from ETC to EGR, WGA, and VGT. Your company's extensive experience, manufacturing excellence, and innovative capabilities and efficient operation provide a competitive edge to our global and domestic customers. Our exports to China as a part of share of revenue in FY21 was 28% compared to 22% in FY20. This shows our cost competitive advantage apart from quality and turnaround time on customers' request. One Igarashi program also extended our advantage in sourcing competitiveness. We don't have any direct competitors. The major players in the field are Johnson Electric and Mabuchi, who are big brothers in the global forum. And margins on any new product will be in line with the existing product margins, which will be around steady state margin of 16% is what we look for. And market for four-wheeler TAM, today, if you look at the four-wheeler in FY21, post-COVID, it was 70 million vehicle volume. And our actuator target market in this segment is close to 147 million. And our market share with the expanded portfolio is 12.5%. And we work with 8 customers and 25 programs globally. And we expect this actuator target segment from 147 million to go to 228 million by FY26, whereby we would be doubling our revenues from this actuator segment by FY26. On the domestic market for TAM, the domestic TAM volume growth is expected to pick up by FY22 onwards. We have launched 10 programs for top tier 1 customers and few more launches in the pipeline. Import supplies are the main competitors for the domestic OEMs. The margins for the domestic supplies are in line with the export, what we do for the export products. Our own global customers are our own customers, and we supply to their Indian plants as well. Apart from that, Bosch, Delato, Pierberg, TEL, PVNA, UCAL, and Flash are our customers in domestic arena. Regarding market size for four-wheeler is 3 million, and we have around 31% market share in today's scenario. And we expect this 3 million market share for actuator target segment in domestic to grow to 8 million by FY26. And we are targeting to be 50% market share by FY26 in the domestic market scenario. The Indian two-wheeler OEM are looking for changeover from carburetor system to electronic throttle system for 150cc segment. Sensing this opportunity, we have also expanded our product portfolio for this. Today, the market is 3 million and we address around 10% of the two-wheeler segment, that is 150cc, now we are supplying. And this market we expect to grow with the regulatory push to 2.7 million by FY26. And we expect a target of 50% market share by FY26 in this segment. Getting to BLDC segment, I have got 3 questions from Rohit Krishnan, Viraj Kacharia, Satyaprakash Mittal. This is again on BLDC opportunity in the next 2-3 years. And who are we competing with? Market share, what product are we replacing? What is the cost differential between BLDC motors and existing product conventional induction motors? And regarding valve regulators mentioned in the annual report. And what for us BLDC, what are the margins we are looking to make? As a part of electric motors with energy competence, your company launched BLDC motor platform for consumer electrical appliances in 2019. Based on government push towards energy efficiency scheme from early 2022, BLDC technology has a high potential to drive your company growth with mass adoption scheme to replace the conventional induction motors. The market size for the induction motor ceiling fan today is 60 million, which is likely to grow to 71 million by FY24. And the BLDC penetration is today stands at 7% of the 60 million, that is 4 million is the volume in FY21. And we expect this with the gradual push from the due to regulatory push and the urbanization and the rural electrification, we expect this to take leap, and we look at 25% BLDC penetration by FY24. Thereby, the market size will be around close to 18 million. And IG today has a 5% share in the market through Crompton Greaves, and we expect our share to grow from 5% to 20%. And the volume that we are doing at 200K will go up to 3.6 million, and our revenue from this will grow from 27 crores to over 350 crores by FY24. The 30% of the BLDC market is still addressed by unorganized sector, and BLDC business we have already launched with market leader Crompton, over 200K populated already, and we have already introduced 4 model series for Crompton and 12 variants. And we are already working with Havells, Usha, GM, V-Guard, Sujata, Advance with various BLDC projects. The margins are all in line with the normal DC motor margins here. But now we would be doing at least 10% PBT on this product. The conventional IM margin is being replaced with the BLDC motor with electronic drive. The BLDC motor is 1.5 times more expensive than the conventional induction motor, with a payback period of 2 years from energy savings. Your company has developed successfully and tested hardware and firmware to achieve operation of BLDC fan with generic valve regulators and on models that is available in this market. This has got a huge potential, primarily because the replacement cost would be nothing, because you're just going to replace the induction motor fan with a valve regulator fan, and you don't need a remote for it. And a product we expect to launch with a major market player in the second half of this year. We are also working towards mass adoption for regulatory push in EES. We are also working on BLDC motor variants for TW fans as well as coolers, which are likely to be launched one in this year, and the coolers this year, and the TW fan next year. The competitive advantage what we have with respect to BLDC fan is our in-house design and development capability. In-house EMS facility, we have the full EMS facility, and the SMT facility to manufacture the electronic controller. We do buy electronic components as a bundle buy with our Taiwan partners. We leverage our international supply chain, and we have a vertically integrated value stream, just like the way we operate the automotive. Now we do that. The entry barriers are mass manufacturing facility and reliable electronic solution, and vertically integrated value stream and bundle buy and price competitiveness. Our key players are Crompton, Attenborough, Havells, Usha, Superfan in BLDC segment. The competitors who are there are Yash Fans, Attenborough, Superfan, Wonder Fibromerts, and TIPCO. Moving to electronic comfort segment, electronic parking brake. Where are we in terms of commercialization cycle? What is the opportunity size in India and global markets? Who are we displacing? Electronic parking brake has been a common in new cars due to its future-rich capabilities and is common for both ICE and BEV technology. Currently, A-sample evaluation is in progress
Target customers are Mando and PBNA and Hitachi. Commercial launch planned next year, 2023. Market size in India is expected to be 2.5 million and 30 million globally. Major players are Johnson Electric, Mabuchi, and CCL. TOS, next question. TOS, what is the supply of terms and amount from China? How much are we shifting to India over what time? China 1+1 or Igarashi Motors India, how do we see playing for us? Currently, TOCD, we are at prototype sample testing stage. We are planning a commercial launch by 2024. We are exploring opportunities with Asian Tier 1, PHA Korea, and PBNA. We are not competing with China due to any global shift. If there is any shift that is going to come in, the Indian plant would be ready to take up that shift. And the sixth question that has come is, for our time, is there any EV risk? The growth in automotive actuator market is driven by increase in demand for electrification of actuators for the drivetrain, comfort, and body systems. This in turn is expected to give growth to the super efficient ICE and hybrid engine for next 8 to 10 years for the electric actuators in powertrain space. Incidentally, electric vehicles, major limitation has been battery technology, charging infrastructure, drive range, and charging time, and limited mileage and high upfront cost. We expect the EV technology to be for public usage and commercial vehicles and two-wheelers. And we are also developing, Igarashi Technology Desk is also developing BLDC EV motors with the drivers for E2-wheelers and E3-wheelers electric mobility, targeting supply of components and sub-assemblies for EV two-wheelers and three-wheelers. And we are also open to any contract manufacturing that might arise in the EV space. What is the share of revenue in ETC? What share of revenues from BLDC, EGR, WGA, and CCV? In FY21, the TAM had 68% revenue share of the total revenue, while BLDC had 5% revenue share, and the CAM and the sub-assembly systems had 27% revenue share. In TAM, ETC was around 80% revenue share, and the rest 13.6% came from EGR, WGA, VGT, and CCV. How do you envision the sales mix in the next 2 to 3 years, domestic versus export? Current domestic is 80-20, like export 80 and 20 domestic. We expect this to move to 67 export and 33 in next 3 years. Domestic is going to be 1/3 of revenue share with growth from TAM domestic application and BLDC motor segment. Ninth question, ESDM, electronic system design manufacturing. Can you explain this segment in a bit more detail? What are we going to do here? We have mentioned in our AR that first supply has been approved by our customers. What is the lead time here for us to start getting revenues? ESDM involved in design and manufacturing of electronic products and associate framework. ESDM facility set up primarily to serve our internal requirement for BLDC fan motor controller electronics with a capacity of 2.5 million. We are currently working with leading players in appliance industry fans such as Havells, Orient, V-Guard, Advanced for supply of controllers for the requirement. Our first supply would be, you can expect this to happen in the current quarter. Phase 1 would be, for the ESDM program would be more focused towards consumer electronic programs. And phase 2 will be looking for automotive EV controllers in the next 3 years. Now I move to the third shareholder, Satya Prakash, for the rest of the questions. He would like to understand more about One Igarashi programs and why the sales geographies of like USA, Germany, Hong Kong have gone down in FY21 by over 300 crores. Was there a huge fall and change and outcome of One Igarashi program? How does Igarashi India benefit from this program? How does company benefit from China +1 sentiments? Igarashi has consolidated the stake to 75% in August 19 with a clear long-term strategic intent to build India business commensurate with new opportunities. Apart from the integrated approach to business development for India operation post obtaining public shareholders approval, in November 2019, all sales were routed to Igarashi Japan. The entire customer ownership and corporate ownership was taken by Japan, and hence the sales were routed to IG Japan rather than through the sales office which we had previous arrangements. On One Igarashi program was launched for global integration of all functions and location of Igarashi Group to harmonize and complement one another for the future. This integrates right from the customer programming team, the manufacturing team, the design R&D, and the procurement team. And Igarashi India has immensely benefited in the bundle buying opportunity, which through this One Igarashi program, and that's how we have been able to stay upfront competitive with our customers, and we were able to keep our material costs down. And we have also created footprint in India for global trade uncertainties. Igarashi Japan has increased focus by introducing Japanese Tier 1 companies whom we are working with right now. And we expect this to take at least 2 years because normally any validation cycle will take 18 to 24 months. Igarashi Japan also supports us in R&D facility and also customer related aspects. And on China OnePlus sentiment, I think I have already answered. This will take at least any shift, whatever would come would always take a period, because in automotive, any shift, it requires validation till the end customers. And this will take at least 18 months for us to realize. Our company has been working aggressively on comfort motor segment in the last 4 years. Help us understand the latest development. What was our CAM volume in FY21 and FY20? Was there any CAM revenues in FY21-20? What are the plans for CAM segment? CAM segment basically was a major driven build to print concept like contract manufacturing that follows the automotive market trend. As a strategic element, we are addressing CAM as a part of CAM and CAM subassemblies segment. The CAM and subassembly volume in FY21 was 21 million, against FY20 23 million. And the CAM subassembly revenues was 133 crores against 178 last year. And we registered around 26% of the revenue came from this segment only. What is the future prospect? The future prospect is more towards TOCD. And we are planning to have TOCD for the India operation. Currently, we are doing the design desk is doing the prototype sample testing stage. And we have launched launch planned by year 23 or 24. And exploring opportunity with Asian Tire, PHA, Korea, and PBNA. On EV traction motors, I think we have already answered. Basically, we are trying to develop two-wheeler and three-wheeler for EVs for 3 to 10 kilowatts for the two-wheeler and the three-wheeler load carriers. And we are also looking at strategic alliances that may come in for the controllers, if any, that we are still exploring that. And we are also targeting supply of components and sub-assemblies for EV, for two-wheelers and three-wheelers, and also exploring any contract manufacturing activity opportunities that would come to us. What is the current capacity utilization and what is the peak turnover the company can do from the existing facility, and what is the capex plan for next 2-3 years? The capacity utilization currently is 50%, and even last year was 50%. And the peak turnover we expect is we would double the turnover is what now we look at in the next 3 to 4 years time frame. And the regular maintenance activities, now what would be the capex plan for next 2-3 years? We don't see much of a, because we are only utilizing 50% of the capacity. We don't expect major capex to happen, except for the capex that we may have to do it for the regular maintenance and also for the improvement activities like automation of the lines or the processes that would require. So I think the next 2-3 years we could see a capex of around 40 crores or 45 crores, 50 crores in the next 3 years to come. The company used to have very high margin of 19 to 24% between FY13 and 19. However, the auto slowdown on COVID margins have hit. Now that are back on track, and we see the margins go back to 20% again. I think even during FY13 and FY19, I remember very much that we always said that our sustainable margins would be around 16%. The reason for the growth in margin in those periods were primarily because we were charging the customers technical service income, because we were introducing new programs between FY17 and FY19, and we charged the customers for the technical fee and also for the toolings, which enabled us to have a profit that could be accrued during those years. And we still see that those opportunities, whenever we introduce new product, we will be charging those customers. Whenever it happens, we don't take it as a part of a regular profitability stream. But we would like to assure the shareholders that the operating margin would be definitely be around 16%. And except for last year where we were doing a 9-month sales and 12 months cost, our profit margins, EBITDA margins came to 14.5%. And we expect this to move in the upward trend from current year onwards. What is the company vision for next 5 years? We would request management to start conducting con calls perhaps on a half-yearly basis. Our vision to be is a supplier partner of choice for electric motors by global customers for selected niche application in automotive as well as energy efficient motors for consumer appliance. On con calls, point noted, we will definitely take your suggestion. Fourth shareholder, Mr. V. Rangan, he has requested that the sales have remained stagnant and almost all ratios are coming down. For the post 4 or 5 years, sales come down, ROC coming down, EPS coming down. It looks like you have completely gone out of automotive field. Sir, I would like to assure you that we are back, and our automotive sales in FY21 is 95% and non-automotive sales is 5%. And now the operating margin, and I assure you that we would be in the range of 16% on a steady state. And we have done during the last year in 9 months the previous year sales, and the cost we have taken 12 months. That's how you saw 14.8% in FY21. And regarding the ratios, yes, now we are also concerned on the ROCE primarily because we are doing 50% capacity utilization going forward with the expansion of our product application in the TAM segment. We expect more capacity getting utilized, one. And second, due to uncertainty due to COVID in the transit time, we have to invest a large amount of money in the working capital. And the management is very much conscious of it. And we are taking all necessary steps to reduce our exposure. And we expect the ROCE to be back on track. And I assure you, sir, in next 3 years down the line, you would see in excess of 25% ROCE from our system. Payment to auditors are very high. See, the payment to auditors in FY21 was 99 lakhs in FY21, and FY20 was 99.55 lakhs. And the statutory auditor's fee was 45 lakhs in FY20 and 53 lakhs in FY. So I think we have been constant with the auditing fees. For the past couple of years, there was no increase, except last year we just gave them a very small increase because for having they are putting more efforts due to new accounting standards and change in reporting compliances. Sir, on dividend, 1/3 will be our policy, and due to extraordinary situation arising out of pandemic with certain uneconomic outlook and liquidity, the board has reduced the dividend for the current year. Despite the liquidity situation, we improved our dividend outgo compared to previous year. And we assure you, sir, that going forward with good things to happen, we will see how much we could accommodate your request. This is related to question Viraj Kacharia on TAM segment. I think I have answered all the questions as far as the global platform is concerned. And you have asked me very specific on, you mentioned to adopt BS6 norms, the volumes will see good growth. This is mentioned in multiple places in AR. What changes due to BS6 that we see opportunity in growing us? So the BS6 emission norms can be achieved by precise control of butterfly valve in the air management system. The precise control can be done only by using TAM motors. And that's one of the reasons that we have done a portfolio expansion from ETC to EGR, WGA, and ETG, thereby increasing the number of motors vehicle per car. As per the experts committee, the industrial experts, the average has gone to 2.9 per car compared to 2.4 a few years ago, sir. On two-wheeler market, what would be our current market share in 150cc segment of what total vehicles sold? How many would be on electronic throttle system? And how has been shift been in 1 to 2 years in terms of new programs from OEM? Your company holding 10% market share in ICE two-wheelers. And now in FY21, the market was around 300K of electronic actuators. We, based on the regulatory push, we see this opportunity going to 2.7 million by FY26. One 150cc would now, who would be current supplier and what is our current cost proposition, and that we may be gaining the market share. Sir, for two-wheeler ETV, I think there is no player right now. It's more of an import substitute for the OEMs. And our presence in India with right product fit will eventually gain the market share, like what we are doing in the four-wheeler. We wish to repeat the same in the two-wheeler segment as well. And we are already supplying to two tier 1 people, and this is going to only grow. Sir, your question on safety and comfort faces the EPB and TOCD, I've already answered. And you have asked me a specific question on BLDC. What prevented mass adoption in all these years as far as BLDC is concerned? It is basically a lack of regulatory norms and cost of electronics, availability of reliable electronics in India, which has prevented the growth of BLDC segment in the Indian market. I think who would be the key players in BLDC? I think I've already answered. Crompton, Attenborough, Havells, Usha, and Fenn. I've already answered this question. What kind of edge we have in current product? I think that again on TAM segment we have already answered, and EBITDA margin I have answered. And what would be our client concentration be? Also, could you provide color on segment mix in terms of end application mix? So TAM constitutes 68% compared to 63% last year. And CAM and subassembly is 26% against 32% last year. BLDC motors assembly is 5% against 1% last year. And the others constitute 1% this year and last year 3%. Bosch continues to be the leading customer for us. The Bosch share is around 50% of our customer profile. Vitesco Continental is 17% compared to 17% last year. And BorgWarner is 13% compared to 12% last year. Crompton Greaves is 6% compared to 1% last year. Inteva is 5% steady. Delato is 3% compared to 2% last year. And others are 2% compared to another, or rest of the customers are all less than 1% down. You asked me specific on ASPL export division, how to scale up and has been done. So effective 1st October 19, IML has acquired export division of ASPL, thereby improving its product portfolio. This has facilitated diversification and growth in new application areas to serve the existing and new customers market domain. And this has made us, we are IML a full service supplier, and we are present not only in tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 in the auto supply chain segment. And we have generated, this platform has generated 26% of the overall revenue in the current year. And the growth platform we have identified is the TOCD, which will be coming out of this platform. And currently it is under study with the design desk. Igarashi program, I've already answered. And lastly, given plans on new product introduction, I have already answered in terms of electric parking brake, which is going to be common for both IC engine and EV vehicles. These are getting slated to be introduced in 23 and 24. And TOCD is another product that we are looking at. And BLDC, we are doing IoT version and wall regulator version, which are going to pick the revenue for us. And is there any change in royalty? You have asked us, there's going to be any change in royalty as far as the parent is concerned. The above royalty is a bundled royalty fee for trademark, technical know-how, and support received in relation to procurement and other strategic management. We would like to justify that, and it has been very useful for us. And you have asked me about the LT spends towards outsourced manpower cost. Sir, our policy in terms of manpower direct-indirect ratio has been between 50-50 or 40-40-60. Has been the current policy that we are following, because we would like to keep the age of our employees working in the workforce to be less than 23, so that it becomes very active for us. And second, the associate cost also helps us in keeping ourselves very competitive. And third, now regarding the automation facility, productivity improvements. So we have a dedicated, self-reliant, multi-skilled team who are capable of installing IoT-based robotic equipments, and they have developed it and tested it, and they are horizontally deploying it across the lines today. And we expect, due to this, a 30% improvement in productivity. That's how we have launched 30 PPI, project PPI, and this is being monitored very strictly by our Chief Control Officer, and we are placing it to our board also on the improvement action plan that we are taking. I think CapEx plan, I think we have answered on the CapEx plan. We are going to do only maintenance CapEx and little automation CapEx as our capacity utilization is 50%. We want me to answer, Abhishek? I think with this, sir, we have answered all the questions of the shareholders. And if anything I have missed out, and I'll be happy to reply them by email. I hand over the mic to the chairman. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chandra, for answering all the questions so well. I am sure most of the questions are answered. And as Chandra said, in case anybody has any further questions, please do send a mail to Chandra, and I am sure he will answer this. Thank you, Chandra, once again. As per the provisions of Companies Act 2013, company had provided e-voting facility to its members through CDSL e-voting platform for transacting the business contained in the notice, which commenced on 6th August 9 a.m. and ended on 8th August at 5 p.m. The members holding shares as on July 31st, 2021, which was the cutoff date for eligibility to vote, but have not cast their vote electronically, are requested to cast their vote through CDSL e-voting platform, which is available on your screens. The voting process will now be activated and will be available for voting for next 30 minutes. The Board of Directors have appointed Mr. C. Prabhakar, Partner BP and Associates, Company Secretaries, as scrutinizer to supervise the e-voting process. The resolutions as set forth in the notice shall be deemed to be passed today, subject to receipt of requisite number of votes. Further, I hereby authorize Dinkara Babu, Company Secretary, to declare the results of the voting and place the results on the website of the company, and also inform stock exchanges at the earliest. The e-voting results along with scrutinizer report will also be uploaded on the website of the company and Central Depository Services India Limited website. I would now like to thank all of you for attending this meeting and supporting us throughout. I hereby declare the proceeding of 29th Annual General Meeting of the company as closed. Thank you very much and hope to see you in person next year. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
With the permission of Chairman, we are concluding this meeting. Thank you all for joining. Remote e-voting system will remain open for the shareholders who have not casted their votes. Thank you.
Thank you.